Greeting to everyone from the region of Murcia. After 4 years of working together, we will have like to hold a meeting and get to know together in person the project that we have done in our region and whose result make us very, very proud. Time will surely give us the opportunity to do so. Now, it's important that this final conference of the Life Adaptate project allows to share the experience, the work, and the result obtained in the participant municipalities of Latvia, Portugal, and Spain. In the name of the government of the region of Murcia, I would like to thank your government and technical teams for the support of this great project, which we have left from here with great effort. Climate change is a palpable challenge for all countries. Temperatures rises, the periods and intensity of rain have changed. The sea level has risen. Extreme weather events occur more and more often. Life Adaptate has taught us that everyone, even if we live in different climate zones, can provide global solutions to the climate change. Our responsibility is to unite effort, ideas, and projects to stop the change together and contribute with viable projects to the climate action that are being developed in Europe and throughout the world. Achieving this is not just a duty, it is an opportunity, because with the new dimension of public policies, in collaboration with the private initiative, new jobs will be created and companies will leave production processes with the clean technologies which will make them leaders worldwide. Perhaps, given the immensity of this great European challenge, our project may seem small.
Cleaning an artificial lake and rebuilding a hydrotechnical structure in Smiltene. Create shady areas with integration of renewable energies and create a multi-purpose forest and a sustainable tourism plan in Mertola. Create a natural lake, shady areas and the creation of a multi-purpose forest in Alfadega da Fe. Generate green spaces with drip irrigation from water from a wastewater treatment plant in Águilas. Create an urban corridor of interconnected green areas that allow the creation and modification of urban microclimates in Cartagena. Enable shadow corridors in busy areas of the old town of Lorca.
Well, no, these are not small, these are big, very big, because these are projects adapted to the geographical and social feature of each territory, born of a need but without breaking with the environment and taking advantage of available resources. The Life Adaptate project is telling us precisely that we have to adapt our life to the environment and its sustainability, and we are going to achieve it because, as we like to say in the government of the region of Murcia, working together we will go farther. It is with great pride that we have led this ambitious project. Thank you all. See you soon in the region of Murcia.
Hello, good morning, everybody. Please consider yourself as very much welcome to this final virtual conference of the Life Adaptate project. As mentioned by our regional minister, Life Adaptate project is dealing with climate change adaptation, in particular putting the emphasis on how the small and medium municipalities are facing this challenge. We have a good panorama of speakers today. I hope you will enjoy. And in order to start and to give an overall panorama of the European policy, We are very pleased and very honored to count on the head of Climate Department in the European Commission, Ms. Wisnar. Mr. Many thanks for attending the session today. Please give us an overview of what is the climate-oriented skills and actions implemented by the European Commission with the scope of having a continent in 2050 more resilient, more adapted to climate change. Mr. Wisnar, dobry dzień. Thank you.
Hola, buenos dias. Hello, good morning to everyone. Really to be honored here with you. We are back to work, definitely, but climate change didn't go on holiday, as was mentioned. Allow me just to put my presentation on. This takes some time with the little things I need to put in motion, and hopefully it will start very quickly. So as was mentioned by the regional minister, yet another summer, yet another chain of events of excessive heat, of destructive floods, of lives lost, of infrastructure damage, and yet another stalking scientific community report saying that the climate is changing at an unprecedented rate that we haven't seen in the last 2000 years. And I'm told that this summer should be really a sort of eye-opener for even those that doubt it. And indeed, this report says too many important things. It links the extreme weather events to climate change. If you wondered, this haven't been said before as explicitly as now. And second, it warns against irreversibility. If we pass some of the limits, so-called tipping points, we can not be able to get back as we wanted. And as you may see, we have already some damage experienced. There is a question of migrations going on, ecosystems disappearing around us. So there are many narratives we can use to talk to people through their values. If I care more about economy, then it is the damages that our economy is suffering. If I care more about health, there is definitely a message to you. And if I am a nature lover, I do care about the forests or the animals that disappear around us. But the good news is that there is also awakening of the society, and we have yet another confirmation that many Europeans do care, and they have taken at least one action to tackle climate change. And this is why I'm pleased to be always in these communities of people involved in European projects, because it does link these communities into a powerful movement. As we know, we have the European Green Deal that very importantly links different aspects like health, like biodiversity, like climate, like finance, and of course also social equity, very importantly. Now, what are the ingredients, as you asked at the beginning, for the climate action? At our level, it's definitely a sort of vision, and we know that the direction is clear. It is the Green Deal, and it has remained despite the economic and health crisis. Definitely the legislation and policies and financing, and very importantly, that I will develop even further, is the climate action by citizens and the citizens' engagement. Because this is where the race against the clock will be either won or lost. And in the EU Adaptation Strategy, we have set very clearly by 2050, we want to be a climate resilient society that is fully adapted to unavoidable impacts of climate change. And this will put a lot of work on the shoulders of our institutions, of our behavior, on our organizations and on our systems. The objectives is to go to a more smarter adaptation, which means more knowledge, managing uncertainty and working despite uncertainty. More systemic adaptations to support policy developments at all levels. Murcia working with its region, working with the central governments, working with its partners across Europe or across the world. Faster adaptation, stop talking, let's do it. And of course, also step up work with our international partners. For smarter adaptation, and you asked about the skills we would need, well, we would need more people who can read data, who can work on climate projections, who can link it to the projects. And so this is really to push the frontiers of knowledge on adaptation. We need more of those who can provide and showcase examples on Climate Adapt, which is our repository of good cases. And of course, we need much more risk managers or risk management to become part of any activity. If I am a mayor, if I am part of the local council, if I am a farmer, if I am a local entrepreneur, I need to have risk management in my DNA. About systemic adaptation, well, we need more of these local plans to be prepared and to really represent the view of the community. And we are moving from the national, regional to even local and individual plans to the so-called just resilience, because adaptation is more linked to local activity, but it shouldn't be egoistic. It should really take into account the social equity and interest of others. Of course, we need to make sure that those who care about budgets, they take climate risks into account and they do channel the investments into where they should be. And of course, we need to promote much more of the no-regret measures like the nature-based solutions. Of course, we need to go faster. We need to close the climate protection gap, which is the share between uninsured and insured populations. If a flood hits and I'm not protected by any risk transfer mechanism, then I am the one to absorb the losses or to pass it on the already stranded municipalities. And what would be an adaptation work without talking about availability and sustainability of fresh water, an issue that is indeed, I hope, very dear to Murcia. For the municipalities in the future, we would have a policy support facility under the Covenantof Mayors that should support some municipalities to move from planning to action on adaptation, because we found out that only 1/3 of municipalities that are part of Covenantof Mayors actually have the adaptation plans. And this should accelerate the action on the ground, the integrated solution, the exchanges with peers, sharing good practices. Where very much, and here I quote, as you mentioned, the small small municipalities, we would really like to target those with lower capacity. And this is to be launched in the coming weeks on the 7th of October. We also prepare a Horizon Europe, a so-called mission on adaptation and societal transformation. And this is where we would like to prepare Europe for climate disruptions. We know those are already happening, and so all regions should get a better understanding and prepare and bring the future back in the current planning. We should accelerate the transition, at least for 150 communities and regions, and get demonstrators on the ground in municipalities, at least for 75 cities or regions. So I hope Murcia can be among them. We try to reach out to citizens, and it's not fully easy. We often talk in bubbles. We often concentrate on a certain community. And this is why we've launched also the Climate Pact to promote conversations in different bubbles and burst these bubbles, and to make everyone part of the green transition, everyone to have a voice, everyone to be able to be an ambassador of in his or her community, and everyone to be able to contribute. Because as I said at the beginning, the social movement is the one where we will see whether climate action is spreading, penetrating society, or to the contrary. And here, indeed, everyone is to be involved: the youth, citizens, civil society, public administration, businesses, academia. And the best is if we can get all of them working together. How can a region like yours or city like yours partner on Climate Pact? Well, through joint pledges with citizens. There is now an increased uptake of the participatory budgeting, public consultations. You have seen Europe is reaching out to ask citizens about the future. You want to have a dialogues. Yesterday, my president of the European Commission delivered quite an upbeat speech about hope in Europe, about Europe having a soul, and Europe, even despite inconsistency, acting still as one Europe. You can also act with businesses. We would need a lot of involvement and private finance also on projects on climate action, with NGOs, because they can mobilize, they can raise awareness, they can criticize, and are very helpful in all this work. And of course, with youth and academia, because we need to capture the energy and innovative ideas for green transition, and of course use the local research and knowledge that is out there to get the most out of it. So let me finish that fondos estructurales y de inversión europeos, junto con Next Generation EU, apoyan la adaptación al cambio climático para mejorar nuestra calidad de vida. Muchísimas gracias.
Many thanks, Ms. Elena Wisner, for your introduction, for the umbrella presentation. It was a pleasure to hear from you such a positive message concerning hope, the European heart, the need to transfer into our day-by-day lives the environmental and climate commitments. We are very proud to have been working over the last 4 years in a practical exercise concerning adaptation to climate change for small and medium-sized municipalities located in Spain, Portugal, and Latvia. Just to give you a brief introduction to the project prior to going to the video, I want to transmit that local partners living and working in 3 different geographical environments: the Mediterranean Spain, the Atlantic Portugal, and the Baltic Latvia, have been putting together for this over the last 4 years in order to enable the local practitioners and also the politicians to be more resilient, more to be more aware about the role that local municipalities can play in order to achieve such an objective in 2050. We have been working in 4 different scales, which are the core sessions and workshops that we are having today. First, the need to the local municipalities to enter within the umbrella protection of the Covenantof Mayors in Europe, as it will be presented just now. Second, how the project has inspired and produced methodological guides in order to enable the local administrations to have sustainable energy and climate documents, strategies, so-called CCAPs. and how they have put this into practice. Third, it will be consecutive how this climate pact is going into the local, and how we are very pleased to show you the very demonstrative pilot actions that all the 6 municipalities in Latvia, in Portugal and in Spain have been playing, with a very tangible demonstration effect for the citizens in those municipalities. And last but not least, how we have tried to help local municipalities to improve the local policies, how we assist them to insert the local adaptation to climate change into the rest of the local policies, economic, behavioral, citizens, and so on. In order to achieve so, we have prepared an agenda for today. As you have seen, we have very reputed moderators. We have also very reputed experts and practitioners attached to the bodies and local administrations participating in Life Adaptate project, but also outside the project. We have the precious cooperation obtained from the European Commission, Ms. Wisner, Head of Unit in DG Climate Adaptation. We have received also the support in background from the Committee of the Regions that we appreciate very much. And last but not least, we want to also thank in the very start point the Covenantof Mayors of Europe for the precious assistance that we have obtained from them over the last 4 years. Now it's time to go deeper in this agenda. I presume that you will join all the session. If you have any question or doubt, please, you are so kind to post by questions and answers. We will try to pass these questions through to the moderators, if possible, according to the timetable and according to the way that the speakers help us to respect the chronogram, the timetable. Okay, so the seconds will be the same. We are facing the 4 panels, but prior to that, in order to provide visual illustration about what the regional minister said at the beginning, please, I cordially ask the technical secretary to launch the video in order to have a more familiar approach to what Life Adaptate project, which is funded by LIFE program, has been doing in time.
Climate change. It's happening, and it's happening near you. 6 European cities have united thanks to the commitment against climate change from the Covenantof Mayors for Climate and Energy and funded by the LIFE programme of the European Union. They have developed pilot projects to adapt to climate change. They are scalable, practical protocols and solutions that can be applied elsewhere and are part of the Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan. Cartagena is a millinery city in southeast Spain, which suffers from high temperatures during the summer. They have designed green corridors to provide microclimate areas using purpose-built canopies. On top, plant cover will grow, which will benefit pedestrians and cyclists, protecting them from direct solar radiation. Forest fires are a hazard in Alfândega da Fé in Portugal. Therefore, they decided to promote the repopulation of nature with native species. Also, an artificial lake will help to reduce the temperature in summer and provide additional means of irrigation. High temperatures are also a problem in the Spanish town of Lorca. Here they have devised a solution covering with removable tarps busy pedestrian areas of the urban historical centre. As in Cartagena, this allows to alleviate temperatures that exceed 45 degrees Celsius during the summer. This solution has also been applied in southeast Portugal, in the magnificent town of Myrtle. Here they have installed similar shadow structures that mitigate the direct solar impact. The planting of a multi-purpose forest with native species has been another measure, together with the development of a sustainable tourism plan. Water is the protagonist in the Latvian city of Smiltene, and Lake Vidusezers is the object of the project. Restoration of hydrotechnical structure and deepening of the lake helps to prevent flood risk in the area, which has increased due to climate change. Cleaning of the lake also helps to reduce the concentration of nutrients and the eutrophication that once threatened the lake. We are back to the coastal area in Spain, to the city of Aguilas. Here the problem is, rather than the excess of water, the lack of it. The high temperatures and the usual droughts have led the city to opt for a reforestation project that is irrigated using recycled water. This is pumped to the recovered land using solar energy. These are all small projects that, together, can achieve great things. Projects that help to create guidelines for climate change for authorities and private entities. Because that's what Europe is all about. Joining forces. People looking for solutions that benefit them and everyone. Solutions aimed at adapting to the consequences of climate change. Solutions for people, solutions for the world. Funded by the LIFE programme of the European Union.
Climate change is happening near you, near us all. Local administrations, local municipalities have been playing for mitigation for a long time, but they have scarcely played for adaptation to climate change. Now we are combining the two drivers, adaptation to climate change vis-à-vis local municipalities. And we have promoted the active participation of local municipalities in Latvia, Portugal and Spain in the field of activity of the Covenantof Mayors for Europe. Covenantof Mayors, which has a large tradition, and it's now time for us to know more how the players of the project have been developing strategies and in conformity with the Covenantof Mayors. In order to achieve so, I am very pleased to start the session number 1, which is devoted to the Covenantof Mayors as an umbrella protection for all the municipalities. I am very pleased to count on the participation of 2 mayors, one from Smiltene in Latvia, Mr. Votins, and one from Italy, Mr. Pomponi. But it's not my duty to present them, but to give the floor to Miguel Morcillo, who is the responsible for Spain, Latvia and Portugal in the Covenantof Mayors office in Europe. Miguel, muchas gracias. Como siempre, adelante, tío.
Muchas gracias, Rafael. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's a pleasure to be here. I think to participate in the final conference of such a successful project Life Adaptate is an honor indeed. I'm going to share my presentation. So I'm going to say a couple of words about the Covenantof Mayors. As you know, the Covenantof Mayors is the European initiative linking European climate policy and municipalities. It's about how to translate everything that the plans that the European Commission are describing at the European level, to translate that for municipalities. How the previous speaker told, the European Commission is automatically thinking about the Covenantof Mayors when they implemented their plans. In this way, has been a very, very successful initiative. Now we have 10,000 municipalities in Europe participating in the Covenantof Mayors, and that has been possible through regional coordinators like the region of Murcia. We have 202 regional coordinators supporting municipalities and working together in the reduction of action plans. We have nearby 6,000 plans, 2,400 monitoring reports, but not all the municipalities are reporting on adaptation. That's true. As the previous speakers also said, Ms. Elena Bisna, she told us only 1/3 of the municipalities and the Covenantof Mayors are covering the adaptation aspects. That means for us, we need to support further these municipalities and to motivate municipalities to really work on the adaptation topics. As Rafael also mentioned, we have a long tradition in the Covenantof Mayors. We started in 2008, and 2014 we included already the adaptation topic. 2015 we merged everything, the 3 pillars of the Covenantof Mayors: mitigation, adaptation, and energy poverty. And now in April 2021 we have presented NOIA mitigation goals going to climate neutrality for 2050. And we have also described a new umbrella for the Covenantof Mayors, and that is the just transition. What it means, what means the new goals of the Covenantof Mayors? Municipalities in the different countries are in different stage. I think we have the differences in among the different countries in Europe. That's clear, and we want to have some flexibility. That means we have defined a minimum target of 80% for climate neutrality. That is what the IPCC is defining, but over this, as a minimum, that's the minimum reduction, but the municipalities can decide freely what kind of reduction they want to face in the next year. Also, the intermediate goals. We have an official goal of the European Commission of 55 reduction of CO2, but the municipalities can really define their own intermediate goals. What that means for the municipalities that are already in the Covenantof Mayors? Okay, this new rule, this new commitment doesn't affect the municipalities. The municipalities that are working on their own setup, they can continue doing this. They can monitor this setup. The municipalities who choose in the past year to the 30% reduction target, who joined the Covenantof Mayors in the last year, they can continue how they have been working till now. At the moment, they feel prepared to submit the new targets. Then they can sign a new commitment, and then they can update their targets to climate neutrality. Okay, as we have in the previous conference, I wanted in the previous presentation, sorry, I want to give you also a couple of informations what is happening in the adaptation at the European level. Of course, as Ms. Bisna explained, we have a new adaptation strategy. That is not something I want to explain again. I think Ms. Bisna explained that very, very well. And he's also mentioned that we are going to have a new policy support facility for the Covenantof Mayors, providing technical assistance to the municipalities. That is something that is necessary. I think we need to support municipalities more. We need to go to the specific needs of municipalities, especially on adaptation, where there is not so much know-how and experience till now, and where not so many municipalities in Europe have been developing and implementing adaptation plans. I think that is something is necessary to do. We are going to present this policy support facility in the conference of the Covenantof Mayors. What is going to happen at the 7th of October. Yeah, I think if you want to get more specific information, yeah, and to get a clear picture about how the policy support facility is going to work, please attend the conference of the Covenantof Mayors. And we have also a very, very interesting development. That is the EU Climate and Health Observatory, the European Environmental Agency, where you can find tools, publications, webinars, base cases. This is a new platform. That's a new platform offering a lot of materials for municipalities, also indicators. This is pretty new. It was launched in March of this year, and I recommend everybody to take a look in the platform and to use the materials in the platform, because I think you can take profit of many of the things described in the website. As I said, we are going to have the ceremony of the Covenantof Mayors at the 7th of October. You can see the program if you click the link in the presentation. Please register for the conference. We are going to explain many things related adaptation. And we are going to have a very important event in Spain at the 11th of November. Because this year the conference of the Covenantof Mayors is going to happen online, we have decided to develop satellite events in the most important countries where the Covenantof Mayors is present. That is the case. We are organizing the ceremony, the national conference of the Covenantof Mayors now in Valencia, where we want to have a lot of municipalities present to commit to the new climate neutrality goal of the Covenantof Mayors. But anyway, we are going to send briefly in a couple of days an agenda and an invitation for this conference. And that is all from my side. Thank you for your attention. If you have any doubt about the Covenantof Mayors, you want to get any further information, please go to the website of the Covenant. And now I want to give the floor to Mr. Edgar Abotins, Mayor of Esmiltene, who is going to present the experience of the municipality in the Life Adaptate project. Mr. Abotins, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello. I start my presentation now. Oh, so, just a moment. So, okay, you see? So, okay, then I start. Hello, participants of Life's Updated final conference. It is my pleasure and honor to be in this conference. Smiltene municipality has this great opportunity of practicing this Life Updated project from 2017. We really appreciate it. We have learned a lot of we have done a lot of activities and done important pilot projects. We are satisfied with this project employment. Before I start, tell how Life Adaptate has helped Smiltene. to commit with cover of mayors objective, I would like to introduce and tell some facts about Smiltene municipality. Smiltene municipality is in Latvia. We have more than 18,000 inhabitants in our municipality. The total area is more than 1,800 square meters. We are proud with our municipality because it is a place where we to live. Work, start a family, study, engage in activity, recreation, continue cultural tradition, and develop a business. Place where to grow. We also proud that we have official approved sustainable energy and climate action plan, and we have joined to Covenantof Mayors. And we are proud with our project Life Adaptate because it has helped to develop sustainable energy and climate action plan. Our municipality didn't have the kind of document before, and if we want to commit with several of motion objectives, it is important to have it. So to develop this setup, we organized 3 stakeholders meetings where to discuss measures include in sustainable energy and climate action plan. Stakeholders were important in produce with the most significant climate risks in Latvia and Smiltene, and trying discuss direction of potential action with in care. Smiltene also used multi-circle approach for development of SECA. Adaptation part and at the end of 2019, we approved our plan in UNCLOS. Also, if we want to commit on several information objection, it is important to involve citizens, because community engagement can help to achieve 3 aims. That to Life Adaptate, we organize Life Adaptate Day, when stakeholders learning not only about the activities carried out in the project, but also about the variety of yourself and interesting information about the climate. It's changed, and now we can each add to be more environmentally friendly. People were invited in participants in the quiz about climate. Children to play climate games. People were also invited for activity they think would be the most unsafe to implement, and to share the ideas to activities they would like to see implemented in the city. At the Life Adaptate events, we project against a lot of support and engagement for local residents, which show the citizens are correct about their tone and are willing to see a sustainable management to local government. Okay. Also, thanks for Life project we have implemented pilot projects. We have cleaned lake and reconstruction hydrotechnical structure to prevent flood risks and eutrophication process. The lake Vidusezers is a lake located in the middle of the cascades of lakes, 200 meters from Smiltene center. There you can see in this picture, but before project's implementation, the hydrotechnical structure of Lake Vidusezer was broken, and the sluice need to be equipped with automatic lifting machines for controlling the water level in Lake Vidusezer. Climate change risks are addressed for tropical or floods. This pilot project has given possibility not only to prevent some risk, but also give opportunity to improve very important infrastructure object of Smiltene citizen. To commit to several of nation objectives. Also, it's important to exchange experience, good partners about climate and energy challenge with other municipalities, because it inspires us to do better. We are learning from others, and this is definitely help us active our aims. So all of Life Adaptate partners submit application for twinning program on Covenantof Mayors, and we were surprised that we got a possibility to practice in this program with city Milos from Greece and the city Leek from Italy. For twinning programs is great possibility to learn. And at the last of presentation, and I just want to mention that we can stimulate other municipalities work under the umbrella of Covenantof Mayors by inspiring other municipalities with our stories or experience or results of projects. Also, we can replace the process of elaboration of SECAP, a pilot project experience in projects in the way to exchange the municipalities to work under the umbrella to Covenantof Mayors. Thanks, and we are looking forward to implement the activities and the projects to coming with Covenantof Mayors objectives in resilience and climate responsibly. Thanks for attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Avodins. And now we give the floor to Mr. Paolo Pomponi, who is the mayor of the comune di Montaione. Mr. Pomponi, the floor is yours.
Buongiorno. Thank you very much. I wait. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and for the invitation, and good morning to everybody from Italy, from Tuscany. And I will read my speech because my English is not so good, so it's better if I read, and I try to be clear. So first of all, I will like to thank the Life Adaptate project partners for inviting the municipality of Montaione and for giving us the opportunity to share with you our experience gained in the last 15 years in our path towards sustainability. Montaione is a small rural municipality of around 3,600 inhabitants, located in the very heart of Tuscany region, in a valuable and amazing landscape, strategically placed to visit the most important art cities and attractions that our region can offer. For this, in fact, Montaione is a very important tourist reality with about 4,000 beds in our municipality. For 15 years now, Montaione has undertaken its own path to guarantee the energy and the environmental sustainability motivated by the preservation of its natural and artistic landscape. In 2009, we adopted the Total Quality Management System, European Energy Award, and joined officially the Covenantof Mayors soon after in the 2010. The Sustainable Energy Action Plan development represented for us a moment of reflection as we had to define our long-term energy and environmental strategy. The SERP elaboration process gave us the opportunity to understand at what point we were and which direction we had to take to reach the European objective, above all, but also to exploit our potential with ambitious goals. We have also decided to strengthen our environmental and energy management system by comparing ourselves with further international standards. Since 2011, we have been certified with the integrated ISO Energy Environment System, and I can proudly say that to date, we continue in being the only municipality in Europe that can boast the triple certification ISO 14001, ISO 50001 and European Energy Gold Award. In line with our vision and our policy and aware of our responsibility towards our community, we have decided to renew our commitment with the Covenantof Mayors in 2018, adopting the new SECAP last December 2020. It has been developed thanks to the support of the Horizon 2020 Come Easy project, where we brought our experience as ambassador municipality to tune new supporting tools for monitoring. Since the SERP and the management system adoption, it has been a continuous succession of projects and initiatives. Regarding policy frameworks, we adopted the bio-building regulation that set higher environmental standards for new buildings and refurbishments. Secondly, we have developed a traffic and sustainable mobility plan and ensured an annual financement for our climate policies, reserving a 3% of our balance. We thought that public administration should be exemplar, as so we retrofitted our public buildings and connected them to a small district heating network fueled by local biomass supply chain. Our public lighting system has been completely equipped by LED lights and remote control system. Solar plants have been installed and remaining electric consumption covered by renewable energy purchase. For mobility, we are constantly boosting low-impact mobility modes. There is a wide network of pedestrian and mountain bike paths, a pedibus for school, free public transport service for elder and vulnerable people, and public charging points for electric vehicles. Regarding residential, we enhanced the use of renewable energy and efficient measures like we did for the social housing stock. And finally, our flagship, Castelfalfi, the most important tourist resort in Tuscany, is created respecting very high environmental sustainability criteria. Communication and participation are the basis of our policy, with many different activities involving all possible stakeholders, starting from our children. The combination of the quality, energy, and environmental management system allowed us to have a more detailed view of our situation, to systematically organize the work and data collection, and therefore to build an efficient monitoring system. As you can see, we have achieved significant results in almost all sectors of competence and have radically changed our own consumption trend and composition. In the Come Easy project, we support the development of useful tools open to any interested municipality for monitoring. In particular, we participate to the best practice library with 3 example actions to share and bench learn experience. We have calculated and published a KPIs dashboard to benchmark with other municipalities and several emission inventories and scenarios with the new tools available. We have collected and checked all public state information in a building database repository. The adaptation section, based on our risk and vulnerability analysis, has been transferred in connection with measures in several sectors to enhance resilience. The new Covenantof Mayors for Climate and Energy gave us the opportunity to highlight and mitigate the climatic vulnerability of our territory, the impact deriving from intense participation in storms, floods, landslide, and higher temperatures can really affect our lives, especially of vulnerable people and our economy. Finally, we have contributed with our experience in participatory processes in the definition of the stakeholders' engagement guideline. The last step, monitoring inventory, has revealed that we have not only achieved the 2020 objective, but we have even exceeded them, reaching a per capita CO2 reduction of 32%. It's a really satisfactory result, but we are aware that it's just the first step before even a more challenging target set for 2030 and 2050. In fact, we, the local authorities, are called to take action not only to mitigate the effects of climate change, but to adapt to the increasingly intense related impacts. In the meantime, we are now working on our long-term objective of transforming Montaione in a carbon-neutral territory and a smart land, inclusive from a social point of view, effective in its governance, sustainable in its development, careful and balanced in the enhancement of its landscape, innovative in its infrastructures. We are aware that it is a real difficult goal to reach due to the big obstacles that a small municipality like we are has to face, especially due to the lack of economic and human resources. In the meantime, we are already preparing an ambitious program of action, but inspired by concreteness, and we will continue to discuss with our citizens and stakeholders to design together the future development of our territory. In fact, what we have learned in the last years is the crucial importance of the citizen support and engagement, and the collaboration with other local authorities to implement projects and initiatives that otherwise would be prevented to small authorities like us. In the past years, we already promoted the Covenantof Mayors and the European Energy Award among the surrounding municipalities, and we will continue in doing so in the next future. The negative consequences and impacts of the climate change are not limited to the municipal borders, but are a common, I would say, global issue. A joint adaptation plan, as we did at metropolitan level for sustainable mobility, would help identifying, sharing measures and initiatives to limit the potential damages of extreme meteorological events and to obtain better and more effective results, because we are convinced that any level union increases strength. And I thank you very much for your attention. I hope you understand my bad English.
Thank you very much for Mr. I don't know if we have any questions coming from the participants in the chat. If this is not the case, then maybe Rafael, we are very good in time and we can go to the break.
Thank you, Miguel. Can you please activate your cameras in order to continue the presentation? I have two addresses to be posed to the intervenants. First, it was a very nice and clear experience on how two municipalities, one in Latvia and one in Italy, are facing the objectives of climate resilience in the current and in the next in the phase to come by 2050. I would like to have your view, Miguel, about the current experience that they have, both of them, expressed. What about twinning initiatives, as Mr. Avotins has underlined? And second, I understand that Comune di Montaione has been granted, awarded, recognized with a distinction from the Covenantof Mayors. Can you please share your view with us about the two issues, the twinning scheme and the prize obtained by Montaione? Thank you.
Two small municipalities sharing a very, very interesting experience with a lot of work behind. Okay, what Abotins, Mr. Abotins was commenting was the participation in of the municipality in the trainings, twinning possibilities that the Covenantof Mayors is organizing. Yeah, it's organizing. The Covenantof Mayors is organizing twinning municipalities to change experience and to learn from each other. That is something we are still offering, and we're going to continue offering, but it's working very, very, very well. Municipalities can take profit from these different aspects, from different experience. The municipality of Pomponi was got the prize last year to the best SECAP for the small municipalities from the Covenantof Mayors. That is our reward. The Covenantof Mayors is given every year. We know that for small municipalities it's challenging to make SECAPs and to make action plans is challenging. We make analysis. We make an analysis of the quality of all the SECAPs delivered by the Covenantof Mayors. I'm aware of this because I'm involved in these discussions. After making the quality of the analysis, we decide to give the prize after to Montaione. But this indeed taking in account the amount of municipalities also participating in the Covenantof Mayors in Italy, where we have more than 3,000 municipalities. I think it's a double prize, in my opinion, because it's recognized the high quality activity of the municipality, also in an environment where many municipalities are acting.
Okay, Miguel, thank you very much for your coordination of this workshop. Many thanks to Mr. Avotins from Smiltene Municipality, partner of the Life Adaptate project, and also congratulazioni, many thanks to Mr. Pomponi, Sindaco of Montaione, for your kind address about your tradition in integrating both mitigation and adaptation to climate change into your local policies. Okay, thank you, Miguel. Muchas gracias. We can continue with the second workshop, saying goodbye to our lecturers and speakers for the first session. Now we have seen how municipalities are becoming more climate resilient in time, and the experience of a Life Adaptate municipalities, Smiltene, and an outsider, which is Montaione, has helped us to understand it better. Now we are moving to the second pillar of the Life Adaptate project, which is the preparation and the proposal of a new qualitative methodology for the municipalities, in particular for small and medium municipalities as Smiltene and Montaione, to prepare and to produce and to approve sustainable energy and climate action plans, SICAPs. We have for sure been consulting on a continuous basis the developments of the Covenantof Mayors for the quantitative tools, and the project has give a step forward in order to produce and implement on a real basis in the 3 countries, in the 6 municipalities, the implementation of SICAPs under this new methodology. In order to launch the second workshop, I am pleased to call the assistance of Mr. David Bruckman, who is an expert reputed in climate and adaptation issues. He is part of the pool of experts of Cities Forum, which is a reputed emporium of experts in Europe, and with whom we have cooperated to nominate the intervenants of this second panel and to moderate. I want to ask all the panelists for this second workshop consecrated to supporting methodologies in adaptation, supporting municipalities with new tools for adaptation. Can I please ask Mr. David Bruckman and the other panelists to come to the audience, please? No, vamos para adelante. Okay. Hello, David Bruckman. How are you?
Hello, welcome. Thank you, Rafael. I guess we'll wait for all the panelists to show up, but I will, again, thanks for the introduction. I'm very happy to be here as the moderator for this panel discussion. And as we have heard, municipalities have been focusing on mitigation, and often these are quantitative methodologies used to show specific reductions in carbon emissions. But as adaptation comes to the foreground, new tools are being developed, and we're seeing that there's an advantage to have more qualitative methodologies being used. So this will be the discussion today. We're going to look at some great examples. And first up, we're going to have 2 speakers that will talk about the Life Adaptate methodology that was developed for SICAPs. And they're going to discuss this tool and the benefits it has to public users compared to traditional quantitative methodologies.
Okay, David, for your information, you have available now the 2 first speakers, Jose Pablo Delgado and Sofia Martins. The other 2 following speakers are to come very soon, right?
2 speakers here. I will introduce Mr. Jose P. Delgado from Eurovertis, who will be discussing the benefits of this new tool to local users, public users, and following will be Ms. Sofia Martins from Iradia. So I'll give the floor now to Mr. Delgado.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Bruckman. Our presentation is related to work carried out in the Life Adaptate project related to the development of the SICAPs in the 6 municipalities in 3 countries. First of all, when a municipality take the decision to address local adaptation, there is an important dilemma, because the main or the most common methodologies are based in a quantitative approach and quantitative the quantification of a lot of variables needed to assess the need of local adaptation. This requires a huge amount of data, a very complex process to manage this data, and this is a real chimera mainly for small municipalities, but also for medium-sized municipalities. The other option is also accepted by the Covenantof Mayors and the Joint Research Center of the European Commission, is based on the perceptual evidence of the impact coming from this new situation caused by climate change. This qualitative approach is also monitored by indicators, and these indicators must be or should be quantified. Well, this approach, this qualitative methodology, is also based in the fifth assessment report from the IPCC. So that is, they suggest that climate local variables are giving us information about what is happening with climate, and which are the main hazards which are threatening our territories. So these hazards, combined with local vulnerabilities and the exposure of our territories to these hazards, give us as result certain impact risks. This is the global formula or equation. So we start from the climate hazards and combined with local vulnerabilities, offer some climate change impact hazard, impact risks, which must be taken in a final action plan. So, how is this process done? We suggest, and the Covenantof Mayors Office also suggests a co-creation process. So we have developed a 3-level working group. The first level is the team in charge of drafting the SICAP, where are representatives from the different municipal departments and also external experts or external consultants, like our case. The second level, the second step is the group of stakeholders. The stakeholders, which are the agents, experts, or with relation with the climate change and the local mitigation and adaptation process. These stakeholders must be chosen at local level or at regional level also. Both levels, the stakeholders group and the SICAP team, form the SICAP working group. And this group will not only participate in the SICAP process during its development, but also during its implementation. So, and this is very important. So, because the stakeholders might be continuously inform, we must receive their view continuously during the implementation process. Finally, the third level is formed by the citizens. We must collect the view from all the citizens, normally by surveys or some workshops open to the citizens. And how this qualitative approach is performed. We start by the climate hazards. We need to assess the climate variables adapted to local territories, and then we assess these variables using the categories defined by the Covenantof Mayors. That is the current risk of every variable, the expected change in intensity and frequency, and the time frame. And these categories are defined by some 2 or 3 specific levels. That is current risk, high, medium, and low, etc. And by this way, we can assess qualitatively this climate chart. We can obtain the information for this assessment from the European Climate Adapt platform, where all the national tools developed by member states are included. So if you don't know what is the national tool developed by your country, you can use this platform to find it. The second step is an assessment of vulnerabilities. For this, we do we suggest, as the Covenant also suggests, 2 different analyses. The first one is a socio-economic analysis, and the second one is a physical and environmental analysis. And here we can identify some local vulnerabilities to climate change and to our specific climate hazards. Then we assess these vulnerabilities by the 3 categories suggested by the Covenantof Mayors: exposure, sensitivity, and adaptive capacity. In this phase, we also identify the vulnerable groups. It's very important to identify the groups more affected by these hazards. This work is carried out by the SICAP team, but it is also validated or co-created with the stakeholders group. Finally, the combination of climate hazards and vulnerabilities give us this a set of impact risks. These impact risks are defined by the sector impacted, the climate hazards, which is going to impact us, the vulnerability and the expected impact. And they are assessed by the criteria defined by the Covenantof Mayors, that is the likelihood of occurrence, the expected level of impact, and the time frame. And this is also validated, or not only validated, but co-created with the stakeholder group. And how do we identify the final impact risks we have to tackle in the action plan? Well, these criteria that we have assessed during the process are scored. And then as a result of this, we have some charts where the most important hazards are shown. Like in this example, we have extreme heats, cold, and storm, for example. In case of vulnerabilities, the same case. The criteria are scored, and then we have a chart with where we can identify the most important vulnerabilities, local vulnerabilities. And finally, the similar in case of the impact risk. So at the end of the day, we have some 3, 4, 5, 6 impact risks to be addressed in an action plan where we define specific actions to treat or to manage these impact risks. Here I give the floor to my colleague Sofia. I keep the presentation, but Sofia, please.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose. I'm trying to, okay, now I'm seeing it. I think I need to share. Give me just a second. So I think that you are seeing now the rest of the presentation. As Jose mentioned, it's a co-creation process, and during this development and of each SECAP and our project, we have several workshops and meetings with the stakeholders, not only to present results regarding the analysis that was made, taking in consideration the vulnerabilities and the climate risks, but also, and you can see in here several examples of the work in the meetings, but also, and important to discuss and to identify and select the adaptation options from for each SECAP. Jose, in this, that is part of the presentation, was focused on the preparation, the vulnerabilities, and the projections and the risks. And then after all of that being identified for each municipality and for each region, each municipality proceed with identification of the adaptation options. In here, they identify, select, and also they study several examples of good practice and options. It was a participatory event. Each municipality have a meeting, a specific meeting, to discuss the options that they want to include in the SECAPs. After that identification, and because it was so important to have the feedback from the stakeholders and also from the citizens, because as we say in the beginning of today event, the adaptation has to be made by the municipalities and by all. It's for all the people that live in the municipalities. We make a multi-criteria selection and assessment of the adaptation options. In this case, our objective is for the list of adaptation options that were identified to have some priorities between each adaptation option and in each sector that was identified for each municipality. And this was 7 of the criteria that we work on, since the efficiency of the measure to the urgency to the legitimacy of the measures, since there are some measures that it's more difficult to implement, but we are working on it, the flexibility, the synergy, and so on. After the SECAPs have the adaptation options and are concluded, it is time to also to have some monitoring on the SECAPs, on their development and implementation. In terms of the Life Adaptate project, we also developed the Life Adaptate Observatory, where it's possible to check the development, not only until some time ago, the development of SECAP, but now now that they are being implemented, also to monitoring their development and the implementation, not only for the adaptation options, but also to the mitigation options. And there is some indicators, some examples that we are working on, so that we can have constant monitoring also after the end of this project, because our intention is to keep tracking all that is happening in the 6 municipalities. In terms of SECAPs, we have 6 SECAPs development and submitted to the Covenantof Mayors. I can say that in the 6 SECAPs, we have more than 300 measures that were identified, and now today we have more than 10% of the measures already being implemented and under development. Some of them already concluded, so it's a good result that we already have measures from these 6 SECAPs implemented and ongoing. The 6 municipalities are very wants to work and to continue with this work in order to adaptate the municipalities to climate change. So thank you, Jose, and thank you all. If you have any question, just tell me.
David, many thanks, Sofia and Jose Pablo. David, you can retake the management of the session. You can transfer the intervention to the municipality of Mértola, one of our Life Adaptate project partners. I presume Rosinda Pimenta is available on the net. David?
Yes, thank you. Sorry, Rafael, I'm having, okay, here we go. I had technical problems getting my video back, so now here we are. So thank you again, Mr. Delgado and Ms. Martins. That was really interesting to set this up. And now we will have a specific example from the municipality of Mértola. We have Ms. Rosinda Pimenta, who is representing on the behalf of Mr. Jorge Rosa, the mayor of the city. And she will be explaining how Mértola has used this methodology and discussing the results. So I will now hand the floor over to Ms. Pimenta. Thank you. Maybe she's not here yet. Okay, we're still waiting for our panelists to arrive. All right. Maybe there's a technical glitch. Hopefully she'll be on soon.
Okay, take care.
I see her coming up.
Yeah, the technical secretariat is preparing the, yeah.
There you go. All right, I'll hand the floor over.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present the experience of Mértola. I will now share my presentation. So I will present the results of Mértola. We have joined the Covenant of Mayors in 2015, And we are committed to reduce the CO2 emissions by at least 40% by 2013. During the process of the Life Adaptate project, we have developed our Sustainable Energy and Climate Action Plan that reflects our commitment to the implementation of climate change mitigation and adaptation measures. We have also identified and all our measures are regarding some of our main risks regarding climate change, and they are the extreme heat and heat waves, the extreme rainfalls, droughts, forest fires, and ultimately desertification. Our CCAP plan is organized in 8 priority sectors. I am going to present them and also present some of the main measures and some of the actions, exempling how we come from planning to action. So one of the priority sectors is urban planning. And our commitment is to integrate the climate objectives in our public policies and in our local planning and territorial management instruments. For instance, we are now making and reviewing our main planning instrument in the municipality, and we have a chapter regarding the climate change measures. Also, an important measure for us is soil protection measures, because we have a huge vulnerability and to soil erosion and to desertification. So we are intended to make a local soil pact, and some of the measures are to reduce dispersed land use, improve vegetation management to prevent erosion, and reduce soil sealing. Also, another important measure regarding urban planning is to promote green building and green belt policies. And we have projects regarding this measure. Another priority sector is the natural and technological hazards. And 2 of the main measures of this sector is mapping the risks and the vulnerabilities, such as the exposed elements, the current impacts and potential worsening scenarios in the context of climate change, so that our action will be empowered by information and can be more efficient. Also, we are adjusting our emergency and civil protection plans regarding this theme of the extreme climatic phenomenon. And this is a project, the reviewing of these plans is a project that is already ongoing, and it is financed by the EE grants program and is already in place. The other priority sector is water resources. And here are some of our main measures. First of all, we need to strengthen our local strategic water reserve. Also, we have a measure or an intention to promote water efficiency. For instance, we have already in place a water efficiency plan for municipality buildings and public spaces already in place. We are changing the equipments in our sports pavilions and swimming pavilions in order to be more efficient in the use of water. Also promoting rainwater harvesting, for instance, we have the intention, or we are applying to recover an old cistern in a house, in a building in the historical center of Martela, in order to use the rainwater to for the gardens. And also for us, it's very important to have measures and actions to monitoring the quality of water. The other sector, priority sector, regards agriculture, forestry, and biodiversity. So we are very committed in having sustainable agriculture in order to protect our natural resources, soil, water, and biodiversity. These are some of the measures and some of the actions that are already in place. One of the measures is promoting a fair, healthy, and environmentally friendly local food system. And we all have already in place the Martela's Food Network, putting in place the local farm to fork strategy. And also we have signed the Glasgow Declaration Food and Climate, and we were the first Portuguese municipality to sign this declaration. Another measure is regarding and promoting sustainable and regenerative agriculture. And an example is, for instance, a project that we have already in place, approved by the La Caixa Foundation, which is a project called Regenerative Pastures, which is a project that we are applying and developing with local farmers in order to have more regenerative agriculture practices in place that protect soil and improve the capacity to retain water. Another project is the Martela Biological Station Research Center, with an agroecology agenda, which is already a project also approved. We are going to recover a building in Martela to place this biological station, and we already have the finance for that. Another measure that we are very implicated with is the conservation of our biodiversity. And so we have that in our CCAP plan has an objective and a commitment. And here are some of the examples of projects that we are already implied in. One of them is regarding the defense and conservation of pollinators and pollination. Also the Iberian lynx, which was extinct in Portugal and was introduced in Martela in 2014 in our natural park, and the introduction of this extinct species has been a success here, and we are very committed to support this project. And also we are, the municipality of Martela has in place a program to support the sustainability of the bird species, lesser crestal, which is a local species. Martela is the only urban colony where this bird occurs, and we are engaged with the natural park in projects to conserve this species. Also, we are engaged in promoting sustainable agroforestry solutions. And for instance, we have a project that was developed in the Life Adaptate project, which is the creation of a Martela's Forest Experimental Biological Park. We already have the planning, and we are looking for finance to implement that in the municipality lands around Martela. Another priority sector regarding urban environment, infrastructure, heritage, and mobility. Some of the measures that we are already implied and engaged in is the necessity to increase the number of green spaces and green shadows, using autochthonous species, well adapted and more resilient to water scarcity. For instance, the Martela Urban Green Belt project. We are linking several green areas in the municipality in order to have a more green environment, improve the air quality, and also have influence in the temperature. We are engaged also to train our municipality team in the area of nature-based solutions. We want to promote accessibility and mobility in a more ecological and sustainable way. So we are engaged to increase the number of electric charging stations for vehicles in all the municipality. And we also are engaged to promote energy sustainability in public spaces and facilities. So we are going to put in place a program where we are going to install roof or soil photovoltaic panels to produce solar energy for self-consumption in buildings and public spaces. The sector of economy, we are engaged also to promote a more circular economy. And in the example of putting this measure to practice, we are now already a member of a national network of circular cities in two main areas that are sustainable construction and water. Also, we want to promote sustainable as a measure of specialization across the entire local economy. We want that to be the trademark of our economy. And an example is our work in certificating Martela as a sustainable tourism destination. And we are already working in that application. Finally, the two last areas, health and quality of life. We want to, one of the measures is for us to improve the thermal comfort in social services, especially because that's where the most needed and vulnerable population is. So we want to increase the thermal comfort, especially during the times of more heat here in Martela. And also we find the enormous necessity to monitor and inform the public health risks related with climate change, especially near the more vulnerable people, like the elders. We have a population, our population, 35% of our population is over 65, and so they are very vulnerable to climate change and to heat waves and so on. And we need to improve our public health risk information in order to prevent and give a more warning and better assistance. Regarding to governance, we find it very extreme and necessary to raise awareness, to educate and train people and organizations in the community to climate change. An example of an action we are doing is a night at the market. We joined people during the night in our municipality markets in order to talk about food, and also in order to explain to people how our choices as a consumption can influence the environment. And so we pass the message that we can fight climate change with our forks. Also, we want to promote citizen engaging in the process of adaptation and mitigation of climate change. And I can give you the example of a project we have called in Portuguese Caminhadas Sem Lixo, which is walking activities in the community with picking up litter. So it's just an example of an engaging activity that we are developing here to promote the participation of people in this process. Thank you so much for your attention. And if you have any questions, I'll be delighted to answer them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Pimenta. I believe in the shortage of time, we probably need to move on quickly to our final speaker, if we still have time to fit in. And this is going to be Ms. Alexandra Papadopoulou. Sorry, my pronunciation is horrible, from CTRAC 50 project. And I believe we won't have time for Q&A because this is going to run over. But if we're waiting for our guest to appear, if Ms. Papadopoulou is on, we can have her start her presentation right away. So we just wait for her to show. And again, thank you very much for your presentation and all the details. Here we go. So we have our guest, and I will now hand the floor over to Ms. Papadopoulou.
Thank you, David. Thank you very much for the invitation to the organizers. Let me share my screen. So hoping you can see my screen properly. Again, a big thanks to the organizers and congratulations for all the very interesting presentations and the impressive work that has been done with the municipalities in the framework of their policy planning. So the CTRAC 50 experience, a very brief introduction on the objectives. The aim of the project was to enhance the cooperation and to promote multi-level governance in 11 European countries. In this framework, we have worked with regions in order to help them adopt the national strategic policy priorities and capitalize on synergies and economies of scale. And also, we have supported the capacity of local and regional authorities on implementing, financing, and of course, designing as a first step, the energy and climate policy plans that they have. More specifically, during CTRAC 50, we have supported local and regional authorities in developing 119 plans aiming towards carbon neutrality at the local and regional level. Out of this 119, 11 plans were focused on regions, one region per country basically, and the rest 108 were focusing on local authorities and the development of their long-term energy and climate action plans, putting carbon neutrality as a target by 2050. And this meant in the majority of the cases that the municipalities were aiming at least 80% reduction in their emissions. Considering that in the majority of the countries, the Covenantof Mayors has quite extensive penetration. In some others, there are other plans in place that are legal responsibility of the municipalities that are similar to the plans prepared to the Covenantof Mayors. In general, the structure that was adopted by the majority of the countries and the municipalities was the standard one that the Covenantof Mayors suggests. So this is the establishment of the baseline emission inventory, the target setting process, the risk and vulnerability assessment. In many cases, we had the introduction of the energy poverty or energy access pillar, and of course, a lot of actions on mitigation and adaptation. Now, as I mentioned, one of the basic objectives of the CTRAC 50 project and one of the challenges that we were facing when working with these three distinct levels of governance was the great lack of interlinkages. And lack of interlinkages not only between the plans across local, regional, and national level, but also regarding the plans themselves at the local level. As everybody knows, there is a huge lack of collaboration between different departments across municipalities, And there is an ongoing effort realized over the last years since this need has been realized in order to overcome it. I have put here the example of Greece in this table, in this figure that you see, because in Greece, these plans are legally binding for the municipalities. So the municipalities have the obligation to prepare some such plans, while this is not the case in many other countries in EU, where they are optional, or they should be in place only for municipalities with a specific number of citizens and above, so for bigger municipalities. But in Greece, there are a lot of obligations for local authorities. And if you consider also plans related to mitigation, municipalities may have the responsibility to prepare more than 10 different plans on how the local authorities will work on specific sectors. The problem is that these plans are being developed, they are nice plans, etc. But usually the problem is that they are addressing specifically the sector that they are considering, and they are lacking the linkages to the other sectors that are affected. So as we know, these plans are not only, when you are working on waste and water management, you can not only work on this, or when you are working on disaster risk management, or even on plans that have to do with mitigation, you cannot focus only on this plan, but you have to check how this affects other aspects, other sectors of planning in the municipality. So this has been one of the first, let's say, important issues that we were working on in trying to resolve it. The second, when we were working on the risk and vulnerability assessment, of course, there are these 8 sectors that have been identified. They are aligned also with the Covenantof Mayors suggested sectors, and to a larger or smaller extent, almost all of them or all of them have been used by the local authorities for which the plans were developed. So we are discussing about public health, we are discussing transport, buildings, water resources, energy infrastructure, tourism, which is a very important sector for a lot of municipalities, where this, especially municipalities, for small and medium municipalities, where during the summer period or during their, if they are mountainous regions, during the winter, they attract even double the population of what they have. We all understand the pressure on the infrastructures of the municipality and how this threatens the climate in the region. So next, what we were trying to do in collaboration, of course, with the municipal team that was established, and where we had the representatives of different municipal departments, we try to see which are the different climate hazards that the municipality addresses, and how each one of these climate hazards affects a specific sector. I have put here as a very minor example, no need to go into details, but considering that the climate hazard impacts on the vulnerable sectors in a cross-cutting way, the linking of these sectors with all of the hazards and the impacted citizens, the risks and the relevant risk level is imperative in order also to give a very good idea to the municipal, not only to the municipal personnel, but also the citizens and the relevant stakeholders, how each danger, how each hazard affects the community. In terms of the adaptation action, first of all, we had realized a very extensive review of policy plans in place at the regional, local, and national level, not only in Greece, but also abroad, and utilizing also the vast material that is available under the Covenantof Mayors literature. So based on these plans, we have mapped numerous alternative and complementary actions and best practices across the sectors that I described before. So we try to gather together a pool of actions that is distinguished between the mitigation and adaptation. For mitigation, we identified approximately 160 different mitigation actions that could be of interest. And for adaptation, approximately 100, including some nature-based solutions that can be applied. So basically, these actions were discussed during the meetings with the municipal teams, and they were briefly explained. You understand that when we are discussing 260 actions, this takes some time. So we try to make this process clear to them and not to confuse them further, let's say, on what each action means. So we had these meetings with the municipal personnel, and we managed to reduce the number to what mainly is interest for them and they consider fitting for the municipalities, based on which afterwards the analysis was realized. For the adaptation actions, we are categorizing and we are distinguishing 4 basic categories of adaptation actions. The first category is on strategic actions. So basically, this is the formulation of policies or legislative actions in place in order to establish the foundation for the future actions. The second category level is early warning actions. Basically, this has to do with systems that are warning citizens on extreme weather events, hazards, etc., in order to secure themselves from these hazards. The third pillar is education and awareness raising activities, which is, of course, a quite extensive category of actions. And last but not least, one of the very significant categories is the technical actions. Now, these, of course, are the ones that are concerning the interferences on infrastructure, on equipment, on what has been done extensively and has to be done in order to address the climate hazards that the region, the municipality is facing. So during this process, we have identified some guiding principles that we would like to stress for all municipalities working on adaptation. Of course, these apply to, almost all apply to mitigation as well. So basically, the first one is lead by example. We all know it. The municipality has to be the main actors who is pushing and trying to stimulate the citizens for carbon neutrality. They have to take the lead. Carbon neutrality is a very ambitious target. And we all have to realize that it's a target that, although seems far away in 30 years, nevertheless, it's quite imperative that we already start working on this from now. Otherwise, it will not be achieved. The second is, of course, to consider the local characteristics and particularities. So we always try to connect the plans, what the national plans have in place, what the regional plans have in place, but we always need to consider if there are local characteristics, specific needs that are not quite addressed at the regional level, perhaps, and make sure that they are evident and they are there in the adaptation actions and the adaptation plan. A very big category that has not attracted so far the attention it should is maladaptation. So basically, municipalities should carefully design how, when they are designing adaptation actions, what they can do and how some of these actions could potentially backfire. This is also the same when we are working on mitigation actions, where we are saying that the municipalities have to avoid the carbon locking. When you are designing for 30 years from now, you have to be very cautious on how some of the actions that you take now might create for you a carbon locking in 10 or 15 years and prevent you from further going into deeper actions that can lead to carbon neutrality.
Alexandra, please.
Of course, to consider social inequalities. This is a very important parameter, and it's closely related to maladaptation and how the action that you are taking may affect specific social categories and vulnerable groups. To involve the citizens and the stakeholders, their participation is really important, considering also that the municipalities, when they are working on adaptation, they also need everybody to work on this. Otherwise, the results will not be what is expected. And finally, as mentioned, to adopt a holistic approach. So to link and align the plans and align the actions among them. Many of the actions, as we all know, are cross-sectoral, and we have to be very careful when adopting one action in one sector, how it can affect the others. Based on this, I would like to also draw your attention on a guidebook that has been developed by the project. It's a guidebook for achieving carbon neutrality by 2050. And this describes the key steps in the planning process,
Alexandra,
outlines
please.
important considerations in each step, and also presents best practices, approximately 35 best practices from 11 European countries, in order to inspire cities and regions and to help them take better decisions on actions for the decarbonization process. The guidebook is available in English as well as 10 more EU languages. And just to conclude my presentation, you can see here an overview of the countries that the project was active. So among the municipalities that have presented and prepared such plans, there are municipalities from Greece, from Spain, from Portugal, from France, from Hungary, Romania, Croatia, Austria, Germany, Poland, and Latvia. So thank you very much, and I remain at your disposal should there be any questions or interest to further discuss. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Papadopoulou, and all the rest of the guests for this really informative session we had today. And I believe we're running over on time, so I will hand the floor quickly back to Rafael. And I thank you, Rafael, for having me as the moderator today.
Okay, thank you very much, David, and also thanks to all the panelists for today. There are a couple of questions posed for the intervenants, but now we are rushing out of time, so I prefer to close this second workshop here. This second workshop was consecrated to the tools that local municipalities can make use of in order to implement, to edit and implement sustainable energy and action plans. And with this, we are closing the second workshop, and we are transferring for the third one, which is how the European strategy for Climate Pact is going to the local in reality. All the municipalities in the Life Adaptate project have been playing in order to implement real, demonstrative, very tangible actions at a very local scale in order to persuade and to inspire the citizens about the needs to react accordingly with respect to the climate change. That would be the scope of this third workshop that we have trusted for coordination to the Committee of the Regions. In particular, today, we are very honored to count on Mr. Marco Markula, who is the member of the European Committee of the Regions, chair of Espoo City Board, president of the Helsinki region in Finland, and rapporteur of the new European Union strategy on adaptation to climate change. He will be the responsible to guide and to moderate the third workshop. Mr. Markula, tervedis, Herra Markula, kiitos. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Rafael, and great to have this panel here. I see good committed faces there, especially Rob Beaver, with whom we have worked several years on these climate-related issues at the Committee of the Region. So it's really great to be here and focus on the issue. Let me now start sharing a few slides as an introduction to our panel. Hope they are coming fine. Yep, this is fine. Is it okay now? or not yet the full screen? Yep. Okay. I prepared a few slides so to give a good introduction to this special session, and starting by a strong statement what we have already heard. So there's so much going on around in Europe, so that we need to be very happy on that. But we as well need to challenge ourselves to do even more. As we heard in today's beginning by Elena Wisnar-Malinovska, so the some key points based on the IPCC report, especially she had requested smarter adaptation, more systematic adaptation, faster adaptation, and finally stepping up with the international partners. So we need to strongly be ready for that. Here first I took some key messages from the Committee of the Regions, how we, with our Green Deal, going local activities. It's a small specialized working group, 13 members, among the Committee of the Regions, representing different, let's say, policy sectors and different parts of Europe. So we stress, and we've strongly going on in the what we can call the Green Deal going local campaign. First, we want to influence all around, changing the mindsets among the local and regional governments, and improving the EU policy making as well. What we heard yesterday by Ursula von der Leyen, strong messages about the European level activities. What I think I was missing strongly, and several of us, the others, were missing her to address more the concrete, crucial role of local and regional elected politicians. We are more than 1 million elected politicians operating on cities and villages and committing to bring more, let's say, European values, European impact on the activities. And that means that we need to empower Europe's local and regional leaders to take stronger actions, in this case especially on the climate change. We need to accelerate the uptake and use of EU funds, and we need to showcase actually how you have already done in this conference today, how the regions, cities and villages are already operating, what they can do, how to move ahead. Then I added there on the right-hand side as well a few of the key messages which are based on the Committee of the Region opinion, where I was the rapporteur just recently. By the end of June, we adopted the special opinion, official opinion on the climate adaptation strategy, and there I just wanted to highlight a few more things, that the ambition level of the measures need to be raised all around Europe. We need this systematic approach, that's the key, and strongly emphasize that together we can achieve more. With together, I mean local collaboration with all the potential stakeholders, including citizens, but especially public and private organizations, collaborations, and then bringing more and more European partnerships. And of course, in the tackling the climate change challenges, we definitely need more private investments, more industrial investments, and on that, so we definitely can use our recovery funds, also cohesion funds, so to draw to the focused operations more private financing as well. And especially here I talk as well about the carbon handprint, and with that, so we mean all the time that there needs to be new products, new services, new systems developed by the industry, and that is those are taken in active use, especially by our cities and villages. And then we must encourage forerunner measures to showcase what can be what can be done and what are the outcomes, and we need all different kinds of societal innovations. Here I took the Northern European map so that we are strongly committed on the UN Sustainable Development Goals. We are strongly committed in the climate neutrality EU targets. However, I want to say that Finland, we, by the decisions of the government, we have a clear target to be carbon neutral already by 2035. That's based on the government's program, but it's as well defined in more detail on our national energy and climate strategy and the defined carbon roadmaps for and done with the different industrial sectors. And our Helsinki region, we are the most southern part of Finland by the Baltic Sea. We want to be carbon neutral already by 2035. And we are actually this fall, we are discussing if we could reach the carbon neutrality here already by 2035, which, by the way, is the carbon neutrality target of my city, Espoo, part of the Helsinki metropolitan region. We are the second largest city in Finland. And here, just to show you, I don't want to go to the detail, but this climate roadmap that we have developed within the region. So it's kind of covering very systematically all the key elements and actor groups. It's based on the defined roadmap already, taking the latest information in active use and pioneering a lot new activities. It's strongly linked to our local regional smart specialization strategy, this RIS3, which now is and should everywhere be RIS4, so taking climate and nature solutions strongly on the board of the smart specialization. And actively, it's as well integrating also the private activities on this. And what I have here on the left up corner, starting with SECAP. Most of our cities have done already in our region the SECAP analysis, and we are using this as a basis for the coming and ongoing activities as well. And here I made a slide for this event, so showing that what this systematic approach to sustainable development and climate-related activities means for our city in Espoo. We are just in the process to renew a bit our Espoo story, our strategy by the City Council. All these elements are already there, but what I have there around this figure is so that we want to be the best place for smart urban development activities. For us, it means carbon neutrality in our city, covering all activities within the city. It's already by 2030. We want to implement UN SDG targets already by 2035. That this process is well going on. And then on the right-hand side as well, so looking especially societal impact, global change makers, that's especially our young generation students in the different universities, researchers, and everything is strongly focusing and based on learning of all and new culture. And in the middle, then we look what we are going to do. The blue elements are what we do in reality, but something that we can measure in our activities, and in the middle is how to become, in all of those we have specific action plans, how to be more ecological, how to be more social, how to be more cultural. And in the smart city actions, we have a lot connected to our smart sustainable growth and the economy of the city. And as you see, the kind of going through all of these are the SECAP initiatives, updating the facts and figures, but building strongly on collaboration and partnerships here locally and European-wide. embedding digitalization in everything, and in all practices developing them more to be knowledge-based and innovation-focused. So with these slides, so I've kind of taken the step towards this special session. And there we are especially looking for questions or for the answers on the questions how we can do more. And it's my really a privilege to hand over the floor first to Ms. Jakob Sonne, and her representing and coming from the, let's say, the special engineering company is focusing especially on energy efficient solutions, and now she brings her perspective how the partner municipalities have undertaken these pilot activities. So please, Anna, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. I hope everyone can see my screen right now. I'll try to be brief as we are quite late on time, but I will tell the story of 6 municipalities that have developed pilot actions to adapt to climate change in the project Life Adaptate. So for the last 4 years, all the municipalities have worked hard on adapting to their local relevant threats of climate. So the first municipality I will tell about is Lorca from Spain. Their most acute climate threat is the heat and the urban island effect that is appearing on the old town and that parts of the city where there is a bit less of the shade naturally. So they have introduced artificial shade by installing awnings over the streets, as you can see in the pictures. And the main goal was to reduce the heat during the summer period. So they are installing the awnings only during the hottest summer months, and during the other part of the year, the view is clear and the streets are looking nice. But during the hottest temperature periods, it can get tough. It can reach even the 40 and more degrees on the street. So the shade is vital. Also, they have noticed that installing awnings for the shade has improved social and economic activity during the day during those summer months. The data shows that the awnings do work, and in the shade, the temperatures are significantly lower. The next municipality is also from Spain. It's Aguilas. They have implemented the pilot action that covers different benefits. The main goal was to create also shaded area by developing a park with new trees and new greenery. But they also improved local biodiversity by planting local tree species. And they also used water from the sewage system after the water treatment plant. The water is cleaned up. They do an additional cleaning for the water. They pump it to the storage space, and with the natural flow, the water goes to irrigation system to water the new green areas. So multiple benefits, and as we can see, there was a lot of benefits also measured in terms of temperatures. On the left side, you can see the average temperature during the day for the whole month of August this year. Very fresh data, and as we can see, the effect is there, and in the shade, the average temperature are multiple degrees lower. And at the right side, you can see the temperatures, real temperatures of one day each minute. And during the peak hours, also the temperatures in the sun reached much more higher temperatures than in the shade. The next municipality, also Spanish municipality, is Cartagena. Their pilot action included different activities and different solutions for the city center. One was to plant trees in parking lots to increase shade. The second, to build pergolas with vegetation in order to connect different green territories and to provide shade on pedestrians and bike lanes. And also the pilot action included the improvements of degraded green territories. So they would be more usable for recreation and more pleasant for local citizens. So the overall goal was to provide neighbors with a pleasant environment in which to walk, live, and be together. And also here the temperature shows the improvements very similarly to previous municipalities. And then we move to next municipality of Smiltene, which is from Latvia. And for Smiltene, the most pressing climate threat is flooding. So they have improved water management in the city center by deepening the lake, so it would accumulate more water, and the reconstruction of existing water management machinery, the existing sluices, so they could physically regulate the water flow in situations of heavy rainfalls. And also they have restored the slopes, so the surrounding territories to the lake looks pleasant for the local citizens. The main effects was to significantly reduce the eutrophication of the lake, which was a huge problem for the lake, threatening it to be overgrowth. They also improved hydrological system, so they can control the water flow, and improved quality and flow rates of the water, and also improved urban environment and reduced flood risk. They also did, you can visually see the overgrowth has been reduced and the water is much more clear and better quality, and also it is proved by water quality measurements that was done during the project. The next municipality is Mērtola. They implemented pilot action with 3 different activities. So the first activity also was addressing the heat problem and creating shade. They chose to create shade in different areas of the city by using awnings similarly to Spanish municipalities, and they also implemented PV trees that provide shade and produces electricity and in the same time. They also have done some measurements in shade and in sun, and it is quite clear that during the peak hours and the highest temperatures during the day, the effect is very significant. Yeah, the next municipality is Alfandega. Now they constructed a new lake where to store the water for summer season when the fireworks, forest fires is happening, and also for the irrigation for local farmers. So the water is very pressing need in their municipality, and they also installed shaded area in the city center by using the solar panels. So they also create shade and produce renewable energy in the same time. And both of the Portuguese municipalities also implemented pilot action, which was to create project for a multi-purpose forest in Mērtola and Alfandega. The project has been developed, and during the next years, municipalities will find new financing to step by step to implement all these ideas by improving the whole city microclimate and local biodiversity in a larger scale. Overall, this is all for me, very quick. If there is any questions, I will be glad to answer them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. And these were very, very concrete examples of the activities. And especially I'm happy that what you showed are very concretely visible for the citizens as well. So that's really great. But let's move ahead. So next is Carmen Morena, and you are showing a bit about how Aguilas municipality is operating. Please, Carmen, the floor is yours.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Mm-hmm.
Yes, now it's coming.
Okay. No. Okay. Good morning. My name is Mari Carmen Moreno. I am the mayor of Aguilas, and I speak about the pilot project to Life Adaptate. Okay. With the project, the pilot project is a new guiding area with irrigation using water from a wastewater treatment plant. The main idea is use a part of the surplus treated wastewater to create a new guiding area, urban park, as a part of our new green belts. Aguilas is a beautiful city situated in southeast of Mediterranean with 25 kilometers of coast of Mediterranean with 36,000 inhabitants. And the local economy is mainly based in agriculture, tourism, and service. In the population in tourist season is about 19,000 inhabitants. Aguilas is one of the most sustainable areas to the certification in Spain. The risk of a high or very high desertification affects almost 100% of the territory. Droughts in Aguilas will be increasingly hard and long, with a decreasing degree of precipitation and increasing temperatures. In consequence, a higher evapotranspiration will favor the desertification process that our territory is undergoing. Aguilas also suffers a high demand for water, intensively due to the incipient growth of the population during the holiday season, and the enormous amount of water need to carry out the main activity of Aguilas, economy, the agriculture. The objectives, the climate change adaptation, reduce the temperature and the irradiation effect on flow. The climate change mitigation, increase the vegetation cover with its consequent CO2 sink diffusion. Build a sustainable forest within the urban area of the municipality. Reuse of treated wastewater of urban origin and reduce the volume of water discharged into the sea. And a possibility of growing drought-intolerant plant species. And the weakness and strength in Aguilas in this area, several permits depend on other administration, road drivers, extensive administrative contracting procedures, delays, project delivery, deadlines, project execution, lack of new lead about this type of project. And strong teamwork, municipally owned land, application of best available techniques, collaboration and involvement of other partners and stakeholders. The implementation phase. There are three phases. The first phase, infrastructure for the collection, pumping and storage and treated water, and construction of a solar photovoltaic plant to supply the energy need to lift the collect water to the reservoir for storage. Installation of a water primary storage and pumping system, provision of a water conduction network to the reservoir, and from there to the forest area, installation of a water chlorination near the reservoirs, irrigation connection in the forestry area, and installation of a water infrastructure remote control. The two-phase creation of the urban forested zone. Ideas, suggestion, pretension, and the final design, land preparation, construction of a sustainable urban drainage systems, design and installation of the dry irrigation network, and installation of bins, shading structure, and information panels in this area. It's a big area, 20,000, more or less. And three-phase data collecting system, arrangement of several temperature and humidity probes, and design and implementation of a software for data collection. And what next? Next is a building a big area near city center, 5 kilometers to city center. It's a new forest park. Its construction will begin soon, and this park, approximately 30,000, is a big area with a sport area, with children games area, with area of social activities, and with a big parking car with trees. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Very concrete measures as well going on there. And it was good to look at the details as well, especially myself coming from Finland. And actually in my region, the Helsinki region, we have more than 200 kilometers seashore. We have around 2,000 islands. We have close to 2,000 lakes in this, and most of the area is covered by forest. But we need to take good care of those as well. So there's a lot for us as well to do, and especially then thinking about the diversity and sharing the experiences. Thank you very much. And then Robbie Beaver, so coming from Luxembourg, and our strong Committee of the Region member is specialized on biodiversity and other nature-based climate solutions. So Robbie, please.
Okay, thank you, Marco, dear colleague. Indeed, we have been a long way together to struggle against climate change and biodiversity loss. Just let me try to share my slides. I hope this does everybody see the slide, Marco?
No, we don't see them yet.
You see the slide?
No.
Let's just try once again.
While you are doing that, let me just stress, now they are coming. Yes, good.
Well, I don't see them.
No, it's actually, it came the Zoom. You need to click on the what you have there, the no, not on that, but click on the slide set there, close to there. You can see in your screen, hopefully, the PowerPoint set of this there, a bit lower than that. So where you have the mouse now.
I'm lost.
Your mouse is now getting to the right place.
No. Oh, that's a pity. That's really a pity. Is there anyone who can help me? Maybe this.
Now, yes, now it will come, I'm sure.
It seems.
Yes, it's low.
Okay now?
Yes, exactly. Now fine. Go ahead.
Oof. So thanks, dear Marco and dear fellow speakers. I would like to contribute to today's discussion by adding a policy point of view via an overview on how nature-based solutions can increase resilience. I would like to break down the policy part of nature-based solution at 3 levels. At the local level, because I'm a member of the Betterburg City Council in Luxembourg, and I'm also president of the National Association Natur en Umwelt, meaning nature and environment. Second, at the European level, as we are both, Marco and I, a member of the European Committee of the Regions, which is an official institution of the European Union policy-making process. And of course, at the global level, because the Committee of the Regions is also active in preparatory process of the global policy framework for biodiversity and nature in the next decade. So today I will present very briefly each of these 3 levels, highlighting how nature-based solutions can contribute to increase resilience and actually how can they be part of the economic regeneration, inclusion and societal well-being, especially after COVID-19 crisis. But if you have questions, please come back to me after the presentation. On the next slide, I present the local Luxembourgish initiative of SICONA, where the CONA means the conservation of nature. It's an initiative and an idea that originated in the late 1980s to face nature loss and biodiversity loss. The idea has been to create an association of municipalities that could cooperate in the development and implementation of a joint nature conservation and restoration policy. So I don't read all the text on these slides, also the next ones, please feel free to read them yourself because we are running out of time. In implementing such joint policy, we wanted to organize the municipal nature conservation in the most efficient and cost-effective way. We also wanted to maintain and develop the native flora and fauna in the habitats as a local contribution to the protection of globally threatened biodiversity. You can see in the next slide the coverage where we came from the 1980s to nowadays, as the orange area is the original SICONA area of 21 municipalities. And we gave birth to a northern SICONA center which is well evolving. And you can imagine if all these municipalities working together, we could create synergies on the human resources level and also on money gaining and having also a huge park of machinery to do the restoration and creating biodiversity matters. So we not only focused on conservation and restoration of nature and biodiversity, but also aim at achieving as said earlier, economy benefits as well as increasing the well-being of the local population. I just give a glimpse of the activities we as municipalities doing, based also on involving local populations and, of course, most important, involving the children of all our municipalities. So what does that mean in practical terms? You can see in these activities we are doing that we are not only going through them due to lack of time, but rather focus on the impact of nature-based solutions. So some lessons learned by this initiative is first that nature-based solutions used in Sicona municipalities are less expensive than technical solutions, but they need more space. The well-being and health of the population is an argument for local politicians to implement an environmentally friendly policy. Involving the public in nature protection increases the political motivation for an increased nature protection, and regional marketing is a fantastic instrument to bring producers and consumers together. Also, landowners have been much more open to nature-based solutions. And finally, the economic arguments are the best. Farmers earning money by nature protection projects, and on the other hand, as municipalities working together, it was much more easy to come to live fundings. So by live fundings, the project has been subsidized by nearly 50% in most projects. Then the Luxembourgish government contributed too. And that means that finally the municipalities had to invest nearly just up to a quarter of the money. So that's a strong argument for local politicians to contribute to these nature-based solution projects. And the members of Sicona have realized many nature and landscape conservation projects since the 1990s. But despite these efforts, the situation of nature and biodiversity in Luxembourg is worse than 20 years ago due to the severe pressure by urbanization and the effects of the previous versions of the Common Agriculture Policy. And as I mentioned the CAP, we are moving already towards the European side of the story. Allow me therefore to go beyond the local action and undertake policy action also at the European level, as you can see in the next slide. You should know that in Europe, 70% of all legislation is implemented by cities and regions, by local and subnational governments. This is why there is an institution dedicated to formally represent cities and regions in the policy-making process. One of the main topics of the Committee of the Regions work is on biodiversity. I have been, on the other hand, as Marco on the climate subject, I have been rapporteur of opinions on biodiversity and also on the opinion on nature and habitat directives, where we clearly stated that they are fit for purpose, but implementation has to be improved. The opinion on biodiversity also addresses the topic of nature-based solution. So as mentioned in the text, innovative nature-based solutions are among the most effective tools for restoring ecosystems and mobilizing people's ability to thrive with nature. At the same time, nature-based solutions contribute to climate change adaptation with improving the quality of life and their citizens. This is also what has been achieved by the pilot actions by the municipalities in Spain, Portugal, and Latvia that participated in the Life Adaptate project. I hope that the positive results achieved by the implementation of these pilot actions will help us all, highlighting the role of local and subnational authorities in contributing significantly to relevant UN conventions, including the UN 2030 Agenda and the Paris Agreement via nature-based solutions. This is possible through nature-based solutions that are sensitive and specific to social, economic and ecological contexts. Cities, local and subnational authorities have to develop and implement such nature-based solutions, but one of the key elements is financing. On this topic, I wish to add to the findings of the study that the Committee of the Regions did on biodiversity finance for European cities and regions. The study first provided an overview on those opportunities that exist at European level. It then focused on 5 European countries: France, Italy, Poland, Luxembourg, and Finland. Unfortunately, none of these countries are involved in the LIFE Adaptate project, but I believe that the general findings are applicable to them too. So in the next slide, there are very interesting points on nature-based solutions that are, despite gradually gaining in popularity, knowledge lacking, and the best fit solutions in various natural, climate, and socio-economic situations. Many examples of small local projects exist, such as those of LIFE Adaptate we learned today, but their replication and or upscaling requires technical expertise that is not often readily available to subnational governments. In the coming years, there should be therefore European-funded projects that can address the need for administrative capacity building on nature-based solutions. However, this not only happens in Europe, but across the globe. The Committee of the Regions is also active at the global level thanks to its cooperation partners such as the Scottish Government over the Edinburgh Progress that concluded with the Edinburgh Declaration. I invite you all political representatives of local and subnational authorities to sign this declaration. So in order to do this, just scan the QR code you see on the slide for more information. The work at global level on nature-based solution in the preparatory process of the global policy framework for the biodiversity and nature in the next decade includes also the COP15 and its summit for local and regional leaders that should be co-organized in the coming months. So nature-based solutions can contribute to improve resilience while addressing climate change adaptation needs. They are also beneficial to nature biodiversity protection and restoration. More importantly, they can be a great investment towards economic regeneration, inclusion, and societal well-being, especially after the crisis, COVID-19 crisis. We have seen that policy efforts are taking place at local, national, European, and global level. The next challenge is now to address the barriers that make difficult the put into practice of these policies, and specifically for LIFE Adaptate to the possibility to replicate all these pilot actions. I hope that today's conference, final conference, will be the start of this replicability. So thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Robbie. Very good. And looking on the timing, so I just need to say 3 very short, concrete conclusions. First, of the whole program. So it's been really a great both pleasure and honor representing here Robbie and myself, the Committee of the Region, since we COR, the Committee of the Region, we've been the kind of moral patronage for this conference, and we are very eager to work on in the future as well. The second key message is definitely you have had so great material here as well. So with the region of Murcia, I'm definitely volunteering to be a link to work with the Committee of the Region so that we can publicize, kind of showcase some of the results of this. And and definitely hope to see this in your conference website, so that myself and others as well, we all can learn from the PowerPoint, study them a bit more carefully. And my third final thanks is to Rafael and your team. So well-organized conference as well. You have done a great work on this. And now next it's up to Rafael. You will continue. Thank you very much. And thank you all these our speakers in this special session. Thank you.
Many thanks, Mr. Markula, for your cordial and professional engagement for the benefit of final conference of Life Adaptate project. Also, I want to address the final thank to Ms. Moreno, Major of Aguilas, my colleague Anda Jacobson, Robbie Bieber from Battenberg, and many thanks to you, Mr. Markula. We are working very fluently between Committee of the Regions and the Murcia Region Permanent Office in Brussels and the region itself. So it will be our interest to keep on strengthening relationship with you and the Committee of the Regions in time. Thank you very much once again. And now it's time, 15 minutes later, to go to the final thematic session, which is the fourth pillar of Life Adaptate project. How we have supported, how we have helped small municipalities attached to the project in the design of policy regulations. In order to achieve so, we have counted on the assistance of the Climate Change Regional Office in Murcia and their supportive attitude, providing helpful assistance, access to documents, guidelines, draft of regulations to the partner municipalities in Latvia, in Portugal, and in Spain. And it's now to conclude with this, let's say, overall panorama of Life Adaptate project by enabling Manuel Martinez from the government of Murcia region to address about how we have helped Life Adaptate municipalities at addressing and creating new regulations. Manuel, please. Gracias.
Thank you, Rafael. Good morning, everybody. Yes, as a public, technical public body within the Region of Administration of Murcia, as a partner of the Life Adaptate project, we have tried to provide the other partners with scientific advice and documents to implement the objectives of the Life project. I want to share a very short presentation. Do you see the presentation?
No.
You don't see the presentation?
No, we don't see.
Ah, well, sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
Now? Okay, that's okay?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Rafael. Well, the Life
Please, Manuel,
Adaptate...
activate your camera.
Ah, okay. It's the camera. Oh, that's okay now. I don't hear you now, but you see my presentation? Do you see my presentation?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. Well, the Life Adaptate project impacts and results. Well, the main objectives, the objectives of the project, the two principal main objectives that, as a public body, the Climate Change Regional Office in Murcia, the main objectives with which we have contributed is first to demonstrate and transfer the process of including the evaluation of climate change impact and development of mitigation and adaptation measures policies at a local level, especially in planning related policies and projects. And the second objective is to foster the process of development of local policies for climate change adaptation in Europe and adaptation and scarcely strategy that supports these processes. These are the two objectives, amid all of the objectives of the project, which we have contributed or try to contribute. These objectives are designed within the project to achieve with these actions. Action A1, the preparatory actions. We have provided a high precision cartography for the build cost line of the region of Murcia. We have provided an assessment of data from a tidal gauge, several tidal gauge, to evaluate the sea level rise. We have to provide a study, a report of urban heat island effect, and we have provided also a tool to assess the carbon storage in soils. These are the preparatory actions, and with these preparatory actions, we have contributed to establish a report of climate change scenarios at local and regional levels. These two actions may be defined as the preliminary actions to achieve our principal goal, which can be the action C4, which is named the adaptation of local policies to the needs of climate change adaptation, which is to say how to introduce climate change policies, European climate change policies within the local policies from the different local authorities, which are partners of this LIFE project, and with the aim of sharing this knowledge with other local authorities, which are always the aim of any LIFE project, is to share knowledge, not only within the partners area, but with all areas of Europe. And this C4 action has produced several products, which are first a guide of inclusion of climate change mitigation adaptation in local policies, a guide which is aimed to the local authorities. After that first guide, we have produced a draft ordinance regulating the integration of climate change in the granting of building and activity licenses. This is a practical document which can be used for local authorities to implement in their policies, in their local policies, the requirements of European regulation to tackle climate change. In this ordinance, we have tried to use the example of the regional administration of Murcia, when we'll have introduced climate change in planning, urban planning, and in project licenses. This guide and this draft ordinance have been shared with the partners through workshops, including technical civil servants of the different local authorities and other stakeholders. in order to share the both documents and to exchange points of view and to exchange know-how in order to share this knowledge. After that, we are going to do a report of the achievements, the results of this climate change implementation in local policies that we'll provide to the LIFE project as a part. Well, this one example of the implementation of local of tackling climate change policy at a local level would be the urban planning, because according to the example of introducing climate change in licenses in Europe, in the licenses provided from the administration of Murcia, we have taken this example to introduce climate change in urban planning at a local level, which are the competences of local authorities. And that would be a good example on how we introduce mitigation and adaptation through urban planning and project licenses. We would like that would be a good result to share with all the partners and other local authorities that will learn the know-how produced within this LIFE project, and will be one of the aims of a LIFE project. That's all for contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel, for your presentation. Many thanks for give the end to the presentation of the 4 main topics that the LIFE Adaptate projects have been working over the last 4 years. This is presented today in a very humble but also ambitious way in order to be marketed to the other followers or eventual replicants that can be interested to get information from LIFE Adaptate, get inspiring information, and then to be capable to express interest for this topic or this action or this key activity implemented in the project, and provide feedback and enable cooperation between LIFE Adaptate project and stakeholders with other outsiders in the European environment. Many thanks, Manuel, for your kind contribution. You and Mr. Markula were the top 10 of the followers. The top number of followers were in your presentation, and also Mr. Markula's presentation at the end of the previous panel. We have almost 200 registrations, and we are now in 150 regular and habitual followers, and the top was on Manuel and Mr. Markula's presentation. Congratulations to you. Okay, just to conclude the technical dossier now, I want to remind what is available from LIFE Adaptate to all of you, those who are following this session today, and we can knock on the door of LIFE Adaptate in order to get more information, details, experiences on, first, how we have disseminated the Covenantof Mayors and how we have enrolled our local municipalities under the umbrella protection of Covenantof Mayors. Second, how we have developed and implemented qualitative methodologies in order to help local municipalities to produce energy and climate sustainable action plans. Third, how the LIFE Adaptate municipalities have implemented real actions, very demonstrative, very tangible, very close to the citizens concerning adaptation to local change. And last but not least, how we have tried to implement and to improve the policies available at local level with the helpful assistance of the regional department of the multi-region climate change. Okay, this was the normal activity of our Life Adaptate project from 2017 up to the end of this September, this month in progress. So now I would like to invite you to keep in contact with us in order to foster networking and cooperation in the future, in order these practices to be replicated. And also I want to thank the LIFE program who has funded the Life Adaptate project for this intervention. In order to enable the physical moment for the LIFE program, it's my pleasure to invite the Ignacio Rubio, the national contact point of in Spain for LIFE program, to present what the current implementation is at the moment, and what is more precisely what is the phase to come, the provisions of the LIFE program for the period 2021-27. With this, we will close the technical session today. Ignacio, muchas gracias por estar ahí. The floor is yours. You have your audience ready to hear about the LIFE program.
Thank you very much, Rafael, and good evening, everyone. During this morning, we have heard about many aspects of climate change, a threat to the current functioning at large and to humankind particularly. Scientists have long been warning of this danger, but it's now that society is finally realizing about the scale of the problem. Global warming is nowadays a priority for the European Union, as well as for the member states and all of their government levels. Therefore, they are developing and increasing legislative and action measures to tackle with the different risks coming from climate change. Actions developed within the Life Adaptate project are a good example of how local authorities take advantage of this funding instrument to increase resilience to climate change. This new LIFE program, 2021-2027, will continue to support a climate and resilient society.
Ignacio, sorry.
Oh,
you have
sorry.
A PowerPoint, but we cannot see the slides. Can you please react accordingly?
Sorry. Oh. Well, it was only the presentation, so we start right here. Sorry, everybody. As you all know, the LIFE program is the European Union's only financial instrument dedicated exclusively to the environment and climate change. It's structured in two fields and four sub-programs. On one hand, under the environment field, the sub-program Nature and Biodiversity, and the sub-program Circular Economy and Quality of Life. On the other hand, under the Climate Action field, the sub-program Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation, and the sub-program Clean Energy Transition. A budget of 1,944 billion euros is allocated to the Climate Action field out of a total budget of 5,430 billion euros. In this slide, we can read the main objectives for each sub-program. The sub-program Nature and Biodiversity aims to contribute to European Union's objectives for the protection, maintenance, and restoration of the Union's capital in all kinds of ecosystems. The sub-program Circular Economy and Quality of Life aims at facilitating the transition towards a sustainable, circular, energy efficient, and climate resilient economy, toxic-free environment, and at restoring the quality of the environment. The overall objective of the Climate Change Mitigation and Adaptation Program is to contribute to the transformation of the Union into a climatic neutral and resilient society by supporting the implementation of the European Union's climate policy as part of the European Green Deal. And lastly, the new Clean Energy Transition Program will contribute to facilitate the transition towards an energy efficient, renewable energy-based, climate neutral and resilient economy. For the duration of the present multi-annual work program, the allocation of funds is consistent with the budget distribution we had already seen. A budget of 419 million euros is allocated to the sub-program Climate Change, Mitigation and Adaptation, and another 412 million euros are allocated to the sub-program Clean Energy Transition. So climate action accounts for 35% of the total budget of the program. As regards of type of grants, the LIFE program may provide these types of action grants. First of all, the strategic projects, which includes strategic nature projects and strategic integrated projects. The strategic nature projects, or SNAPs, support the achievement of Union's nature and biodiversity objectives by implementing coherent programs of action in the member states in order to mainstream these objectives and priorities into other policies and financing instruments. The strategic integrated projects, or SIPs, support the implementation on a regional, multi-regional, national, or transnational scale of environmental or climate strategies or action plans developed by member states and required by specific union legislation or policies. They require coordination and mobilization of at least one other union funding source. And both SNAPs and SIPs have a maximum co-financing rate of 60% and their maximum eligibility period shall be 14 years. The technical assistance projects includes activities that support the participation in SAP and preparation of SNAP and SIPs. The preparation for facilitating scaling and replication of results from other projects, the preparation for accessing other union financial instruments, and the capacity building of member states with low effective participation to the LIFE program. All these activities have a maximum eligibility period of 5 years and a co-financing rate of 60%, except in the later case that reach the 95%. Last but not least, the standard action projects, or SAPs, they were the traditional LIFE projects that pursue the specific objectives of the LIFE program. The maximum eligibility period shall be 10 years and the co-financing rate is 60%, which can be up to 74% under specific conditions. And finally, in addition, there are other action grants for actions needed for the purpose of achieving the general objective of the LIFE program. Focusing on the climate change mitigation and adaptation subprogram, we find the following 3 areas of intervention. Climate change mitigation, which includes, among others, reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, or support to sustainable land, forest, soil, sea, and oceans management practices. climate change adaptation for supporting adaptation-related policy development and improve adaptation strategies and plans, improving, promoting, and scaling up the use of state-of-the-art tools and solutions, and so on. And in third place, climate change government and information, which includes actions to stimulate changes in behavior and practices, etc. As you all know, live calls for proposals are already published. Call 21, priorities for the 3 areas of intervention are, among others, renewable energy, energy efficiency, emissions trading system, land use, agriculture and forestry, carbon capture and use of behavioral change for the mitigation area, achieving European Union strategy on adaptation to climate change and support to Paris Agreement, making adaptation smarter, systemic and faster for the adaptation area, and supporting the development, implementation, monitoring and enforcement of European Union's legislation and policy on climate change, developing tools or studies to include concrete actions. In conclusion, the new LIFE program aims to push the European Union to reach the objectives defined in the European Green Deal, the European Climate Pact, and the Strategy on Adaptation. To make it happen, projects such as LIFE Adaptate are essential. Thus, the Spanish National Contact Point would like to thank everyone involved, and we encourage you to participate again with new and profitable ideas. Thank you very much for your attention.
Many thanks, Ignacio, for your very clear explanation on what is the current status of the LIFE program in the framework of the new Call for Proposals 2021. Ignacio is a representative of the National Contact Point for LIFE program in Spain, Ministry of Ecological Transition. Putting this argument in evidence, I want to transmit our thank and we're grateful for the administrations, public administration supporting this final conference, which is about to conclude. I want to express vividly our gratitude to the Covenantof Mayors, to the Committee of the Regions, to the European Commission, and to the Spanish Ministry of Ecological Transition. Thanks for all of you who attended this over the last 3 hours, this final conference. Hope that it was inspiring for you. We, LIFE Adaptate project, is at your disposal, so please feel free to get in contact with us for any cooperation purpose. And now it's time to leave the floor now and cordially invite my director, the director of Info Murcia, the regional development agency in the Murcia region, which is a regional entity of the Covenantof Mayors, business development agency, and also the team leader of LIFE Adaptate project. Joaquín, muchas gracias por estar ahí. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Rafael, and good afternoon. As director of the Region of Murcia Development Agency and regional Covenantof Mayors coordinator, I have to say that we are really proud of this outstanding EU project. I'm really convinced that we've made the most out of the EU investment through the LIFE program with, it's important to say, successful and concrete results. We mean the formal addition to the Covenantof Mayors of 6 EU municipalities, the guide to assist municipalities in development of public participation protocols, the guide for elaboration of climate change adaptation plans, the pilot action related to climate change adaptation, and very important to point out, the real policy impact with the guide to include the climate change adaptation and mitigation approach in local policies, and the draft regulation, the integration of climate change in urban planning authorization. This result show the real impact of this Life Adaptate project. And I strongly believe that the Life Adaptate is a key project to the EU combined efforts to adapt to climate change. Finally, I would like to highlight that the key success lies, without any doubt, in our outstanding consortia. At this point, let me congratulate, first of all, the Instituto de Fomento team in charge of this project for their great work leading the partners' activities, and also to the technical support from Eurovertice, Uradiare, and Ecodoma. But the true star, and I'm sure we are agree with me, the true star are indeed the 6 municipalities from Latvia, Portugal, and Spain. I mean Smitelne, Alfavenga da Fe, Mértola, Águilas, Lorca, and Cartagena. Thank you for your commitment and the result of the project. You can be proud of everything accomplished these last years. And on behalf of the region of Murcia, thank you to all the speakers for taking your time to share with us this special moment, the end of the Life Adaptate project, and thank you to all participants. We really hope you have enjoyed the different session and intervention as much as we have, and we hope we can meet in the near future in the region of Murcia or in other European regions. Thank you very much.